Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Anna, aka Brookwillow, and today I'm going to catch you up on everything I've been working on this month. Originally, I did not think this was going to be a video that had a lot of substance to it because I've been working on like one or two projects lately. But as I've been laying everything out on this table, I do have quite a bit to talk about today. And that will fall into knitting, spinning, and weaving. It's been a very busy month for me. I've had a lot of different plans on the weekends, but I still have been prioritizing most of my time to knitting. So I'll start with all of the knitting stuff I have to show today first. And that does include a new finished object, which is this right here. This is the DRK Everyday Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I have been showing this one off the last few podcast episodes. This is a super easy pattern to knit up. You knit it up flat actually, and then it's just seamed in the back right here. And it became like a very easy pattern to memorize. I didn't really have to think too hard about it, which makes it just super fun. And I definitely want to knit this one again, not only because the pattern is so easy, but I really do love the way that it looks when I'm wearing it. So I'll go ahead and put it on. All right, here it is on. I generally like to kind of put the point kind of a little off center to the side like this. And if it's extra cold, it fits over my face like that. And I just generally love how close fitting it is to my face. I don't really have a wool sensitivity, which is really nice. If I did, I probably would be pretty itchy in this. I don't like it when the cowls just get too drapey. I feel like it just kind of beats the purpose having it really drapey and letting all the air in. So this one is super nice. It just keeps my neck very warm without letting really a ton of air into it. One other detail I really like about this cowl is that at the back where you seam it, this braided pattern throughout kind of flows right into the other side where it's seamed. So I'll show you up close so you can get a better idea because I think the color is blowing out a little bit. I just think that's a really nice detail that Andrea put into this pattern. I don't know if it was intentional or just a happy accident, but even though the colors don't match up to where they meet in the back, at least that braid kind of flows throughout. And it'll look especially good if I make one with a solid color, because then you really won't be able to notice that seam as much. For the yarn, I used my own Handspun, which I do think I talked about a lot on this channel, but it was two different skeins that I made. Both of them were plied twice, or it was a 2-ply, and in both of the skeins, I used one color changing fiber from Hello Yarn, and for the second color, I did one skein with a black walnut dyed fiber. It was like an Icelandic wool from Bentz fiber. And the other one, I used just an undyed top. I think it was like a blend of different fibers from the Woolery that I got free with my spinning wheel when I bought it last year. So since they used the same color changing yarn throughout, it created a very subtle stripe and a more elongated color change, which I do really like about this. The other thing that I really like about this is it goes with so many different things in my wardrobe because there's all different colors that I can pull out from it. But it especially looks really nice with this kind of Sherpa lined faux suede jacket that I have. I've been wearing this a ton with that. And I even wore it to work last week just with like a plain Henley tee, and it didn't really feel like I was wearing outerwear. It kind of felt like I was wearing a shawl, which made it somewhat appropriate to wear indoors all day. And I didn't get too hot in it either because it breathes pretty well. Like I said, that's the only finished knitting object that I have, but I do have 2 whips that I've been actively working on this month. And one of them is the reason why I haven't been able to get a lot of things done. And you may be able to guess, it's the Tessellated Pullover by Andrea Mowry. I just have to say this episode's probably going to be a little Andrea Mowry heavy because I am just having a lot of fun knitting through all of her patterns. And I think the main reason why is because a lot of them work so well with hand-spun yarn, especially hand-spun yarn that's color changing, because she uses a lot of spin cycle, and spin cycle looks a lot like hand-spun yarn. So I just really enjoy being able to work with my hand-spun yarn, and that's why I'm knitting a lot of Andrea's patterns. And that also includes this tessellated here. So I am very close to getting this done. I have 1 sleeve finished, and as you can see, I'm working my way through the 2nd sleeve here. There is 10 decreases in the sleeve for the size that I'm making, and I just finished the 5th decrease. So that means I am halfway done with the sleeve. And obviously as you get further into the sleeve, there's less stitches and the faster it goes. And I cannot wait for this to be done. Not only do I want it to be done because it's taking forever, but I genuinely am so excited to wear this sweater. This may be one of my favorite pieces I've ever made. Of course, I have to block it and do a fit check first before I can definitely say that, but I am just loving the way that the colors are working up on here, and I don't know, it's just a really cool, unique sweater. It is made using mosaic color work, which you work with 1 color at a time for each row, which makes it super easy to do, especially if you're a beginner. If you've been wanting to get into color work, I do recommend working with mosaic knitting. And because you're going through and slipping stitches and knitting some, it does make the fabric condense down quite a bit, which is why it's taking so long to make this. Similar to how brioche takes a bit longer to knit as well. My goal was to have this done by Thanksgiving, and I do believe that I'll be able to get it finished by then. My goal is to have it done by Wednesday so I can block it Wednesday and then wear it on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. The yarn that I used for this is 3 different yarns. The main color is this forest green, which is Good Wool by Purl Soho in the colorway Dark Spruce. And then it calls for a hairy type yarn, which is Brume in the colorway Tawny Dune. And then it calls for a color changing yarn if you want. And that is where I'm using my own hand spun, which is Malabrigo Nube in the colorway Corteza. And I do really love the way these 3 colors are put together. I focused it around this color here, which is kind of a lavender, purpley, grayish blue color changing. It's very subtle in the way that it changes colors. If I put it too close, it's gonna blow out from the sun. I focused all of it around this yarn here. So when I first thought for the main color, I always knew that green and purple go well together because I have green eyes, and growing up I've always been told by all different sources that you should wear like purple eyeshadow with green eyes. So that's why I chose to do the green with this purpley color. Also because I've been wanting to have more green in my wardrobe. When I was switching out my closet for fall, I noticed I just have a ton of browns and burgundies and reds, and I really need to bring in more greens because that is my favorite color. And then I wanted to warm all of these 2 colors up, and that's why I brought in the kind of tan, hairy color here. So that was my thought process in choosing these colors, and I do love how it's coming together. I got gauged when I did a gauge swatch for this pattern. So I am knitting a size 5, which is a size that I consistently knit with Andrea's patterns, and it always gets the exact fit that I want. So that's why I chose that. And then the only modification I really made to the pattern is a very minor one. And that's the needle size that I used for this sleeve. So when I knit the body, you knit the body in the round and then you knit flat at the top. I noticed that the gauge was like a little tighter in the body, nothing detrimental, but then it bloomed a bit more at the top when I was knitting it flat. And that's because I knit tighter when I purl than I do when I knit, so I row out a little bit. You can't really tell that it's rowing out because of the color work, but that's why there's a little bit of different gauge issues going on here. So when I knit the sleeves, I decided to go up a needle size to the main body needle. So I think I went up to a size 5 is what I have here. You should knit with a size 4 is the recommended needle. But the way this fabric is turning out on the sleeve is very consistent to how it's turning out for the upper half of this sweater, and I am happy that I chose that because I don't want my sleeves to be too tight by any means. I will for sure have this done by my next podcast, and I'll give you an update on how it fits. It's currently looking a little small to me, but I asked Casey from Young Folk Knits how hers, if it like grew at all when she made the vest version, and she said it grew in length for sure. So I do want mine to grow a little bit in length, but I do kind of want to stretch it out a little bit to grow in width, just a little bit. Nothing too crazy for blocking, but I think it's gonna be really good. Speaking of the tessellated pattern family, I wasn't going to do the sock challenge that Andrea does every year over the Thanksgiving weekend. I participated in the last 2 years. I was able to finish the socks over the long weekend last year, but I didn't finish the year before. I have become a much faster knitter since 2 years ago when I first started. But this year, a lot of you probably already saw that her new sock pattern is a riff of the tessellated stitch pattern here. So it's the totally tessellated socks that she designed. I absolutely love these socks. They are right up my alley in terms of what I want to wear, but I just did not want to immediately jump into another tessellated pattern, especially because I am working on the sleeves of my current sweater right now, and knitting 2 pairs of socks is gonna feel like knitting sleeves again. So at first I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna do it this year, especially because I plan to finish knitting this sweater by Wednesday, and then I'll have to start the socks Wednesday night. But then I started thinking about combinations of yarn. If I were to knit these socks, what would I knit up with? And I pulled a combination out of my stash that I love way too much that I just can't not do the challenge. And I'm fully aware that I can knit these socks a couple months from now, but there is something very exciting and communal about doing this all together because a lot of people participate in this. And so I decided I am going to, in fact, join the challenge starting Wednesday. But let me go ahead and show you the colors that I'm using for the socks. This first one is the skein that really inspired me to make these socks, and that is this right here. I don't know if you can see it too well because of the light coming through. I apologize. I'm gonna shut the curtain actually and see if that helps. I'm sorry, the light is just too good this afternoon. This is from A Chick That Knits. It's the Superior Sock in the colorway Bark. And the composition of this is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon, and it's a 3-ply. And this was actually kindly gifted to me from one of you lovely viewers, Chris or Christine. Thank you so much. she reached out to me through email, and after my last podcast episode, I was talking about how I want to kind of beef up my sock yarn stash, and she told me she has some skeins that she is not going to use and would love to send to me, and I said yes, of course. So I do have a lot of other skeins that she sent me, and they're so pretty, but I'm just going to show off this one for today. And yeah, I love this. It's definitely got the warm colors that I really like. This colorway just really screams November to me. But one other thing that I really liked about it is the dark black speckly bits through it. I had recently bought some black sock yarn for a different sock project that just didn't really work out. And so I have this to use. This is going to be kind of the solid color with the color changing yarn here. And then for the third color, I'm going to use the rest of this Brume by Purl Soho. So I thought these three colors together will just make a really cool, moody pair of socks. And I haven't really made any super dark socks like this before, and I'm really excited for it. I think this lighting might be a little bit better. But yeah, I'm going to join. Let me know down below if you plan to join in the challenge as well. I think it's super fun. I do plan on knitting them 2 at a time. I do actually have to go to my local yarn shop and get a new pair of needles because I still have a pair of socks on another pair of knitting needles that I need for this. And I don't want to take those off the needles. Plus it's kind of nice to have a couple pairs of sock knitting needles, I think. The other knitting project I've been working on, which you may have seen if you follow me on Instagram, is this right here. If you watched my last episode, it was all about knitting your own seasonal decor for the upcoming winter season. And on that, I featured this pattern as a blanket. This is the Safe at Home blanket by Margaret Holzman. And a ton of people have made this pattern, and quite a few actually turned it into pillows. I didn't want to commit to a whole blanket, especially because I have the scrappy blanket that I've been working on. Not recently, but it is on the needles. And I just wanted a bright, colorful pop in a throw pillow because, I don't know, I think I'm going through kind of an identity crisis when it comes to what I want the interior of my home to look. I've been very traditional and nature inspired in the past, but now I'm just kind of craving pops of color. So I thought it'd be fun to do that in a form of the pillow. And I've been seeing all of these little houses in the shops for this time of year, and I think they're so stinking cute. So yeah, I'm making a pillow. And I plan to just do, obviously it's gonna be 3 wide, and I think I'm gonna go 3 tall in terms of stacking all of these houses on top of each other. I'm gonna see how 3 tall looks, maybe add a 4th one, but I do want it to be a perfect square. And then I plan to knit a border around it just to make the pillow a little bit bigger. I want to knit that border in possibly a light pink color because the back of the pillow, I'm just going to do a solid garter stitch back using this bright blue because I have quite a bit more of the blue than I do the rest of the colors. And then I'm going to seam the 2 together. I want to do a really thick I-cord in this kind of toffee camely color in the corner here, if you can see it. So that's my plan on how I'm going to construct the pillow. I think I might include a zipper at the bottom so I can take off the pillow cover and wash it if needed. For the yarn, I am actually using a holiday advent that I bought last year, and it was from Lavender Lune, and I think it was the 12 Days of Boho Christmas. I used some of these yarns last year when I made a hat, but I have quite a bit left over because I used barely anything of each skein, and I think I'm gonna have the perfect amount to make all of these houses that I need. And then I did decide to add this pop of blue in it because I felt like it just needed a little bit of blue for the look I was going for with this pillow. So this blue is, I think it's Stroll from KnitPicks, and I can't remember the colorway because I ripped off the tag. So each strip uses every single color that I have, as you can see here. This is a super fun construction as well. It's a little bit fiddly because as you can see there's all these little bits of color that you're using, but it's not too bad. Without giving away the pattern too much, I will say you knit this first strip here using an intarsia colorwork technique, which I actually am not using full intarsia. I'm doing kind of a combo of intarsia and stranded colorwork. So here is the back of it. You can see that I have floats throughout it. And there's two reasons why I'm doing that. First reason being you won't be able to see the back side of it because it's going to be a pillow. And the second reason is because I don't want too many little balls of yarn floating around everywhere. It's just easier to carry the main yarn over these little bits of color. So it's working out just fine doing it like that. And then when you get to the roof section, you just pick up a knit and decrease a certain amount to get the look. I do think this would be a good beginner intarsia pattern for people who want to try intarsia out, because you're only doing the intarsia for the little windows and the doors, so it's not complicated organic shapes or anything like that. It's very simple, easy to memorize pattern. So I have this strip done here, and then I started the second row of houses using this little peach color with the red door and a little teal, or the red window and a little teal door. But again, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun making this. It's just kind of satisfying that color need that I need, because I don't really wear a ton of colors on my body, and I haven't had a ton of colors in my house, but it's just easy to add a little bit more color using throw pillows because you can take them away at the end of the season if you're not feeling it anymore, or you can keep it if you really love it. I also was excited to cast this on because it was a reward to myself for finishing the first sleeve on the Tessellated sweater. I just needed to start something new, and I do want to have this done in time, probably by December, so I can enjoy it for the holiday season. So I did want to get going on something off of my list that I made for my last video. Next up, I have a little bit of spinning to show you. I've had a lot of motivation to spin lately. I don't know if there's something in the air, but I think a lot of the other podcasters and people on Instagram and stuff have just been spinning a lot lately, but it's a lot of fun, so I can understand why. I do have a spinning finished object, so I recently finished 2 skeins of yarn or fiber, and if you remember, I was spinning up some fiber that I was gifted from Madison of Madison Montee's knitting podcast. Love her channel. She got the fiber from Honer Och Er, and I'm not really sure of the colorway just because I don't think it said it in the package that she sent me, but I love the way it's spun up. So here it is. I think this is the best way to show it without the light hitting it. It's this very dusty pink with little bits of color, mainly little orangey bits and pink bits, but I think it is such a beautiful natural yarn. And I think it's a really cool way to kind of experience their fiber, because I think most of the fiber that they process is all the unspun yarn, so the only way you can really get plied yarn is if you spin it yourself. And I love it. I did a 2-ply for this. I wanted to get the most yardage out of it that I could, which is why I did the 2-ply. Currently, I think I might knit another DRK everyday cowl with this. I'll have a little bit extra after, so I don't know, maybe I can make a hat out of it as well. But my mind could possibly change, especially by the time I can get around to making this, because I have a lot of other plans too. but I'm just happy to have this in my stash because I love it. I should also mention that it came out to be 200 grams in like a DK weight yarn. In my last podcast episode, I asked if people often saw more fiber when Honer Och Er drops their line for people to purchase, and a few people did reach out to me and say that they do often have fiber in those drops. So I did set a timer, and I was going to buy more fiber, but I actually kind of went over my monthly fiber budget with everything I'm about to show you next. So I did decide to just pass on it this time, and I'll wait for the next update that they have. I think that was the last one of the year, but I have enough spinning to last me through the end of the year anyways, so I'll wait till 2024 to get some more fiber from them. But I do for sure plan on getting more from them because I had so much fun spinning this up. I'm currently working on a new spinning project. I think in my last podcast episode I showed this fiber that I picked up at a local fiber festival type thing, and this is from Orchard Acres Farm, and it's Teeswater fiber, which is very soft with a super long staple length to this fiber. So it's kind of interesting spinning it up. I don't think I've spun with such a long staple length before, but it came out to be extremely sturdy yarn, and I think it is because of that long staple length. I'm not really sure what she dyed this fiber with, but I thought it was so pretty and it immediately caught my eye at that fiber festival. So when spinning this next project, I asked myself, what do I want to make with this fiber? I didn't necessarily want to make just like a plain yarn. I wanted to kind of switch it up, especially because I just made somewhat of a solid yarn with this Honer Och Er fiber. I came up with the idea when I was at that same fiber festival. There was a booth that had a lot of very colorful plied yarn that I thought was super cool. And I have been wanting to make a Trinigan cardigan by Andrea Mowry ever since I saw it last year. I thought it'd be cool to do some hand spun yarn with that. So I decided to make a 3-ply yarn using all different colors, but like solid colors, not color changing, so it's consistent throughout. So I decided to do kind of a tonal look with it. By the way, here's my first single spun using this fiber here. I decided to pair it with 2 other shades of green. So I've been buying a lot of supplies for weaving from the Woolery.com, and I noticed that they have fiber on there as well. And I've been intrigued to try that fiber out. They have a lot of just solid colors in a dyed Corriedale top. So I ended up getting 2 colors from the Woolery to pair with this Teeswater fiber. So I got this right here, which is kind of like an olive green, and the color is called olive green. And then I wanted to do a really dark color, so I got this one to pair with it. And this one is called Green Tea. So those are the 3 together, and I plan to ply the 3 all together. When looking at the pattern, the Trinigan pattern, they actually used the 3-ply yarn for the main color, and then a color changing yarn as like the little speckles throughout. I decided I'm gonna use the 3-ply yarn in place of the color changing yarn, and then I kind of want to buy like a beige tweed yarn. I'm thinking probably from Woolfolk. I've been wanting to try Woolfolk yarn for a while, and I think this would be a cool project. But I think it would create kind of a cool juxtaposition, because this yarn in a 3-ply is going to create more of like a funky modern yarn, I guess. But I think it'd be cool paired with a natural tweedy yarn together. We'll see. That's my plan currently, and I'm pretty excited for it. I also haven't knit myself a cardigan in a really long time, so I'm excited to have a cardigan. But that's what I've been actively working on. I'm halfway through this fiber here. This is currently on the wheel, so I'm not going to show you the bobbin of it. And then, yeah, I'm going to spin up this, ply together, and show you all how it looks. But I think it's going to look pretty good. My next spinning project has been 100% inspired by Maggie from Sonder Knitting Podcast. If you have not checked out her podcast, I really highly recommend it. I have never been inspired with so many projects from one person as I am with her. And she recently made a complete hand spun traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry again, but it is so cool. I saw the pattern come out. Obviously, most of us has seen Andrea's pattern. She did it in a solid color, which looks really cool, but I didn't like totally want to make that one until I saw Maggie's version in her color changing hand spun yarn. It created kind of like a stripe effect. I normally don't really like stripies, but this had like a ton of different colors in like a fading, beautiful yarn that she created, and I just could not make this. So I ended up buying a sweater's quantity of fiber that I have been eyeing out for a very long time, and I'm very excited to use it. And that is this fiber right here. This is from Emily C Gillies, and it's her hand-dyed fiber. It's Norwegian luster wool, which is a commercially combed top. 33 to 36 microns, and each little bundle is 100 grams. This colorway is the mineral colorway, which is pretty similar to the color that Maggie used as well in her pullover. I just can't stop staring at this. Look at the way the sun is catching it. I need to get up and show you it closer so you can fully see how beautiful these colors are. I really recommend checking out this dyer's website, which I'm blanking on the name of what it is, so I'll link it down below. But they have the most beautiful colorways that I have seen in fiber, which is the whole reason why I wanted to spin this up. And I think they dye a bunch of yarn too. They recently launched their own website. I think they were selling at different yarn shops in Canada. Now it's available just direct from the dyer, and you really should look at it because I'm telling you, beautiful, beautiful fiber. Speaking of Maggie, she sent me an adorable little friendship package with a cute little stitch marker and a sticker. But what I want to show you is this awesome hand lotion bar that she made. And I think it's chamomile and I forget what else was in this. But the reason why I wanted to show you is because she actually just posted a video on how to make these little lotion bars, and I totally want to make some for friends and family for holidays this year because this feels luxurious. I have put a lot of lotion bars on that it is really hard for the product to actually transfer from the bar onto your hands. You have to sit and rub forever, but this feels like butter almost, and it just immediately melts on your hands, and it's perfect for us makers this time of year in the winter too. So you should check out that video if you are interested in making this, and I've got to say it smells so lovely. It smells like chamomile tea, and I love chamomile tea. So thank you, Maggie, again, for the gifts and all of the inspiration as well. The last little section I have for this knitting podcast, which isn't all knitting, is for weaving. I am almost done with the project that I showed you last time, which is these hand towels here. So all I have left to do is I need to zigzag, stitch the ends, cut down the center. No, I zigzag the ends, and then I need to wash it and then cut and then kind of fold under and edge it, oh my God, hem at the ends, and then I'll be all done. But it was a lot of fun working on this one. These by no means are perfect. I have a lot of little kind of mistakes throughout, but they're going to be just for me, and honestly the fact that I handmade them makes them extra special. So for those that are new here, this summer I bought a floor loom, and I finally got around to learning how to use it this fall, and this is the first project that I'm making on it. And these are the beginner cotton towels by Sarah Resnick, and I got this pattern on the Just Yarn website, which is a beautiful website that caters to a lot of weavers for the products that they sell. But I just fell in love with these stripes and the 3 tones of yellow in it. I did these colors exactly as the pattern sample did it because I just really liked it, so why not make the exact same color for it? I love this so much, and I kind of wanted to do the pattern again to perfect it before I move on to a different type of pattern or something a little more challenging. And that's why I decided to make one as a gift. So Mom, if you happen to be watching, please pause or just stop for the rest of the video. I decided to make another version of this, and it's currently on the loom, so I can't pull it down here to show you, but I'll include a little video of it right here. I decided to switch it up because I just want to try out different yarn, and I ended up getting some from the Woolery. So I got these 3 cones of yarn from the Woolery, and they are the Maurice Brassard cotton yarn 8/2. And this color is cream, this one is chambray, and this one is teal. And I thought it would give a fun, similar kind of tonal effect as it did with the yellow one here. And my mom's style at her house is very coastal. She lived in North Carolina for a little bit, and so I think she tries to bring that out a lot in her house here in Wisconsin. And I just love the way it's coming out, especially because it's using a much thinner yarn. This is like a thread like yarn, and it's creating a much more flexible kind of napkin or hand towel. This one's pretty stiff, but I do like how thick it is, but I think the thinner one just gives it a bit more of a delicate look. I have quite a lot of this left. I already used all of the natural that I need for this particular project, and I don't think I'm going to use a ton more of these to make it, so I could make multiple more towels if I wanted to, or just save it and have it as part of like a weaving yarn stash as well. So I haven't really decided what I'm gonna do with the rest of it, or what I'm even going to make after these towels. I did end up subscribing to a handwoven magazine, which has been really fun. There's a lot of great articles in there, but they also come with different patterns each month too. It's harder to find weaving patterns for me because they're not available on Ravelry. And so I've been looking on different websites, like Just Yarn has a lot of cool patterns and stuff, but it's just kind of fun to have a magazine that sends patterns as well. I've been having a lot of fun with the weaving. It's also very time consuming to dress the loom. So to set up the warp, it took me like 6 or 7 hours, which is kind of bananas to me. But I just listen to a podcast or an audiobook or listen to music, and it can be pretty meditative, and I'm enjoying it a lot. That's everything that I have to show you today. Again, I've just been super focused on the tessellated sweater, but now that that's almost about to be wrapped up, I feel like I'm going to be able to show you a lot more in the next knitting podcast. But I am so happy you're here with me today. It's fun to always just sit down and catch up with everybody. I enjoy reading all of your comments in the comment section below. I haven't been able to get around to responding to them quite as much this time around. Like I said, I've just been really busy, but I read everything, and I love the community that we have here. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and you won't miss out on any future content. And if you like what you see here, please give it a thumbs up because that really helps out my channel a lot. But in the meantime, I hope you are having a lovely month of making or not making, whatever you are feeling like doing. I hope you're having a good time doing it. And we will chat next time. Bye.